Welcome, 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 my beautiful people, to another week of the Leila Show podcast with your host, Leila Ziari, where we talk conversations, life, existence, and build a community full of artists, healers, all the things, all the stuff. So, welcome. And today we have Ryan Walker from A Day Without Love band and also a podcast host. And you cook and you do a lot of things. And like he said, I was just on his podcast, and like he said, we met at a music festival, like what, 2 weekends ago, Camp
Yeah,
Pennsylvania,
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah, where I was officiating the wedding of my best friend, and musician Chesky was playing, and you're friends with Chesky, so you spontaneously showed up at my best friend's wedding. It was like only supposed to be them, me, and Chesky. Not supposed to, but we had no idea we would like make new friends, and you'd video the wedding and all that good stuff. So that was cool.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that this came out of music.
I think a lot of good things come out of music. So, speaking of that, you're a musician. You have
I am.
a a band. I mean, is it always with everybody, or is it sometimes just you?
So I started A Day Without Love with the idea of it being a band. It started off as a five-piece, and the band has always seen multiple iterations. Like I play multiple instruments, but there's some instruments I don't do well, like drums.
Mhm.
And like in my journey of recording, I've always said to myself, like, is this going to be a full band song? Is this going to be a solo song? But for the majority of my songs, I want to make sure that I could play them myself, because you never know when an opportunity presents yourself where you can't afford to bring three, four, five other people, but you can afford to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah, it is me. Like I am A Day Without Love, but I've always had other bandmates and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, because like I mean, I looked it up, and it's like the Day Without Love is you. So I just was gonna throw
Yeah.
that out there. So tell us about like how this musical journey started. And okay, first of all, A Day Without Love is a very fucking interesting title. And I remember at the wedding, we were both like, "It's a day with love today, baby."
Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
elaborate.
are you asking me like why did I call it A Day Without Love,
Yeah, like
or
or like I don't know, because we've talked already, and I know like love is very, you understand the fundamentals of love is everything. So I'm just
yeah?
interested on how you came up with that name and like
Oh, totally.
what it means.
Okay, so we're about to trauma bond real fast.
Love it.
So
Let's
the
go.
first time I came up with just the words A Day Without Love was when I was 19. I was writing a poetry book where I was writing a poem every single day, and I was kind of like stumped. And it was sometime in the fall of my second year of college, and I hear this woman screaming and outside of my college dorm. And at first I'm like, oh, someone's getting railed. Like that's honestly what I thought. And then I was like, wait, that's not sex. Someone's getting abused.
Oh my
So
God.
I open my window and I see this dude just pummeling, punching this woman. I immediately get out of my dorm, pull the dude off, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, this is fucked up. And then he's like, well, she deserved it because she cheated on me with two of my frat bros. And then she's like screaming with bruises on her face, just like, and you cheated with two of my sorority sisters. And like, I was just like, well, you need to go. This is not okay. And she needs to go to like, the medical facilities. And then before like everything calmed down, the cops came, someone overheard it, and then she immediately told on him, like, you know, he went to jail, and then she said thank you. I saw her like a week or so later. She told me she was leaving the college, but I wrote about that incident, and the name of the poem was called A Day Without Love. And there was a line I wrote in there where I said the day that you lose love is the day that you find chaos, because I was thinking about the situation, because like abuse is always wrong, right? But at the same time, it was abuse that came out of the reaction of two people cheating on each other and infidelity, right? So they lost their love for themselves, and each other. So like a chaotic situation occurred. So I thought about like other situations in my life where like I either experienced it directly, or like I saw other people like lose love for like a person, a place, or thing, and the next thing you know, they take them for granted, they start hurting them, they abuse them, and things like that. So I just left it as a poem at that. And like keep in mind, I was writing songs, I was doing music, but I didn't think of like creating a moniker for myself, right?
Mm.
So A Day Without Love started when I was 24.
Okay.
And I'm 35 now. and I was homeless because of Hurricane Sandy. Like I was in grad school, I couldn't. My place wasn't livable. I was in a band at the time, and I remember, like right before I got kicked out of my place, I wrote this song called "Island," which you could find on Spotify, and I said. Think about that situation you saw and think about your current situation. And I was thinking about ending it all, because I was homeless. I was in grad school. I was sleeping on benches. I was sleeping on friends' couches. I was just sleeping anywhere. And I thought Hurricane Sandy was just going to be it. Like that was it. Because I couldn't even leave Long Island.
Mm.
And I decided to say, like, I feel lonely, but there's still a part of me that doesn't think this is going to be forever. So let me call my music A Day Without Love as a way to rise above any of your struggle and things like that. So that's kind of like where I turned concept into project.
That was a great story. That's a great story. I wasn't
Thank you.
expecting like all of that, but I mean, never expect anything. But wow, okay, cool. So it is like, it is to promote. I mean, I know you promote love, and I've listened to some of your music, and it's really, really good, really cool. So,
Thank you.
but interesting story. So you
Thank
also
you.
write books, and well, you wrote a book, right? Or is there multiple? I bought one of your books.
So yeah, you bought my poetry book, and I also wrote a book when I was 16. The other poetry book that I just mentioned was lost via hard drive, which really sucks.
No, not a day
Yeah,
without love. I mean, that would have been so. Don't you hate when you
yeah,
like lose such important stuff?
yeah. And honestly, I think one day I probably will rewrite like a 365 of being alive because that's what the book was. I probably will do a different version of that, like much older. I wrote a zine last year. It's like a 15 to 25 page magazine, just about music culture and the people that you meet. Um, and then what else? I've written many blogs, of course, and I wrote another book in 2015, and then it's floating somewhere in my Google Drive, but I don't know if I'll ever release it. It's kind of like a memoir about me trying to figure out if I want to get better or still live destructively.
I mean, I personally think you should publish that just because I feel like that's something, but it's so hard to publish something that personal.
Yeah,
I'm writing a memoir right now, and I'm like, if my parents read this, like, they're gonna scream and die, and it's very
yeah,
vulnerable. And then I'll have to walk around being like the girl who really like unveiled that deep, dark crevice of myself, which is
true.
terrifying. And I mean, like you and I
Yeah,
are artists, so I mean, we do expose ourselves in artistry and we do put ourselves out there already in a vulnerable level, but there's a difference between like hardcore telling a tale of like that time and
yeah,
yeah, and writing a
yeah,
song where you can kind of allude and make it poetic and make the point, but maybe take out some of the real raw shit you don't necessarily want to the world to see.
true. Exactly.
Hmm. I think you should do it anyway.
Okay, well, maybe I will.
I'm not in charge though. I mean, you should send it to
Yeah.
me. I should look at it, make sure I approve.
Oh, it's
I
it,
don't,
it's
I
it's
don't have
pretty
any
dark
say, but okay. Well, I mean, all right. Well,
in the future.
right, but I mean,
Yeah,
we talked about this on your podcast, and I just feel like darkness. What is your take on the darkness and all of that, and how that relates to? Well, I mean, it relates to light, and I feel like I don't know. How do you feel about like expressing that? Because I do know when I write something really dark, I almost don't want to express it because I kind of want to promote more life and light and positivity. And I don't necessarily want to like put out things to the world that are like that depraved and not like from that dark
true.
place of my life. But I feel like it's important. So like how do you feel like that with your artistry?
So to get back to the book first, before I answer your question, I think I didn't release the book at the time because I just was too busy coping with the death of my grandfather.
Hmm.
And then I decided to write my record Solace, right? Because I wrote this in 2015. Um, and I also didn't want to publish it because I realized I was still in my 20s.
Mm.
and it could get worse. So might as well make this like.
Your
And
20s are
truthfully,
literally so fucked. Like,
yeah. So I was like, what if I made it like a part one, part two type thing? You know what I mean? But in terms of darkness and expressing it, I would say across my discography, I think like a solid 70% of it is dark. And I have this one line where I said, I wrote about sobriety, but you didn't see me, but I wrote about serenity, and then the radio started to play me, which is really talking about the fact that I noticed this correlation that my saddest records are not played as often as my happier stuff.
oh,
But
see,
what's
for
funny
me, it'd
about
be the opposite. For me, I'd play all of your sad shit first, but
yeah, because like if I were to go down a discography breakdown, Island, my first EP, is literally about social isolation and apathy, right?
love it.
Uh, Conf- Confessions of the Innocent Mind is about being misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder when I then found out that I actually had major depression and suicidal ideation and substance abuse disorder. And no one could tell because they just look at my face and say, "Oh, what a nice guy, what a nice smile." And it's like, nah, I'm messed up, right? And then I did a few splits about other extensions of my mental health journey, and then I wrote Solace, which is literally about finding peace in the comfort of my suffering. Then I wrote Diary, which is a journal of all the things that made me feel like the world was suffering. And then I did a collaboration record, which wasn't a concept project at all. It was just me collaborating with 15 artists across the states. And then this next record that I just released, not Confessions of the Innocent Mind, um, A Stranger That You Met Before, is about how I've spent my whole 20s traveling, trying to find like my man's search for meaning. And I realized, like, wait, I am a charismatic person. I am confident. I owe it to music to like rediscovering who I am. And like, while I still have mental health issues, they're not nearly as grave as before. So let me write this record as a homage to the different genres, the different communities, but also be very honest with who I am. And then not only just be honest about it, but tell the story that your truth is what's going to connect you to where you're supposed to be. And that's the record that got me the furthest that I am. And that's more positive than all the other themes that I just shared with you. So,
But it has the undertones of everything you went through. So,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. That one, I'm gonna have to really dive deep into your musical catalog here, you
Thank
know?
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is all of this on Spotify? All things on
Yeah,
Spotify.
it's all in Spotify and Bandcamp. And like the record I'm writing now is about trying to be more independent in the things, people, places, and things you're attached to,
Mhm.
because nothing is permanent. So do you choose to be cynical or do you choose to embrace the good that comes to you in your life?
A little bit of both.
Exactly.
But it is, it's all about embrace. Nothing is permanent, nothing lasts forever. And I do think attachments, I mean, yeah, you just really can't have them. You can't, I mean, every time I've ever been too attached to an ideology, a person, or anything, poof,
Yeah.
disappears just like that because I just feel like the human experience is ever changing and, you know,
Yeah,
as are
and
we.
no, completely. And I really want to emphasize like the place and thing part before I get into the person, because I think anyone who lives in, Mexico, Canada, or the United States, well, basically just North America, that is 28 or older, acknowledges the weirdness of going from Barney to Mr. Rogers to Teletubbies and kind of still wondering where did Barney go? But
Where
like
the
at this
fuck did Barney go?
you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, depending on where you grew up, your neighborhood changed like 10 times by the time you were 20. And our ancestors before that did not experience change that quickly. Like AOL, like we are currently talking via the internet. I still remember
Everyone's
getting
like,
those. I still remember when AOL, those discs were frisbees.
oh yeah. Oh my
So it's just kind of like,
It is crazy, like,
Yeah.
when you think about it. I mean, shit, I mean, even, like, it does, it happens so fast. Even the first time I moved to the Bay Area, California, was what? Like, 2000 the first time I went was, like, 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
And, just seeing how that area, I mean, my hometown, I swear to God, stays the same. I don't think it's ever fucking changed. I don't know if it ever fucking will. Same goddamn thing. Like, same little sewing shop, same marketplace, like a couple gas stations tore down, but Portsmouth, Rhode Island will remain Portsmouth, Rhode Island. I digress. Like, it's the who cares about it? It probably, it operates in its own micro community of nobody gives a fuck about Rhode Island.
True.
But and Newport doesn't really change because it's historical and you can't change it. So like my parents live in Portsmouth and Newport. So, in that aspect, that is like creepily, almost eerily remained the same. But
True.
everywhere else, yeah. I mean, God, the Bay Area, what a decline that place has seen in the last year. It's shocking, but technology has come so far. We're all on our. It's wild. We're not that old.
No, but so much has happened. Like last weekend, I was in Denver at a music fest, and like a kid who was no older than 7 bought my patch with a QR code.
Mm.
And I looked at her dad and I was like, "Wow, you're starting them young." And they were like, "This is the future." And I was like, "Fuck, that's
I wasn't
crazy."
allowed to have those things till I was like, I mean, well, I was on AOL, like AIM Messenger, super cool, yeah, at like 12, 13, but
Exactly.
I was cool on MySpace.com. I had like weird, like scene boyfriends from New York that I never met in person who were like way too fucking old to be talking to a 12-year-old in retrospect, like real creepy, actually, men, like
Yeah,
so fucking creepy. But I was like, yeah, but like cell phones, I wasn't allowed to have one until I was like 14. Crazy. It's crazy, people. I mean, kids don't really go outside anymore. Same. It's just wild. But that's the
it
evolution.
is.
The planet evolves and humanity evolves, and I guess actually it really is the future. Like, do I like it? Do I have to agree with it? No, it's happening regardless of my fucking opinion because I'm not that important.
I got real. Snaps.
It always gets real here. Okay, it's the Layla show. Better pull up for some realness. So, anyways, let's talk about touring because I have never been in a band, but I have toured with bands before, and tour life is a hell of a ride.
It
So,
is.
yeah.
So where do we start? Is it like the weird stuff you see?
Oh, yeah,
Is
I
it
want
the
well,
planning?
yeah, now that you offered the weird, give me like the weird fucking tour stories.
Again, like I feel like I need to write multiple memoirs because,
Same.
it gets weird in all sorts of ways. Like, for example, like last weekend, like we met 2 weekends ago, and that was one music festival, and I played 2 more music festivals this past weekend, right?
I know, and I was seeing you,
And
you were in like 110 fucking sweaty ass outside. I was like, is he gonna be okay?
I wasn't even sure if I was going to be okay, but I made it, right?
I was like,
But like the things that are so insane, and I'm just going to wrap it all up like with like technology is I saw this kiosk. It was like a convenience store kiosk, no cashier, no security to be found. And I heard this woman say, "Wow, in America they've got free food." And they just took the food from the kiosk and kept going. They did not pay at all. Like you really see humanity when you're on the road for the worst and the best, and it's kind of crazy. Or like, I'm gonna just share this on the podcast, but you already know this story. Like, I got inspected, and during the inspection, like my dick was considered like a red flag, and I got groped. I literally got groped, and it wasn't for 1 second. It was for a while. And I was like, "Hey, man, there's nothing there." And he's like, "Oh, there's something, all right." And I was like, "No, nothing of destruction." Like, so people are just really strange to you,
like, what
or
does that
like
make you feel that your dick is like an instant walking red flag though? Like, what is that saying about you?
I, I don't know if I should be like more confident or just like the world's not safe, like it's a very
Maybe
strange
a little bit
place.
both.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
world's definitely not safe, but you're so right because I mean, like I said, I've traveled a lot. Like I grew up on the East
yeah,
Coast, but like I like to kind of like nest in places for a little bit. Like I lived in the
Yeah, yeah.
Bay Area, California for 7 years,
True,
almost
true.
10. Like at the end of it, when you combine my multiple stints together, 10 years of my life. So it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's like one area. And yes, I would get on planes and go everywhere, but there is nothing like fucking tour life because you go to places like, would I have ever gone to fucking Idaho if I wasn't touring with a band? Hell no. It's like you're in these
Yeah.
fucking weird ass cities in these weird ass little towns, and it's like, I'm sorry, I would never go to fucking Iowa. Like I don't need to go to Kansas. Like all these states, like I have no business fucking being there. And other than like, stream music. I mean, I've gotten robbed in like Milwaukee before by like a crackhead.
Milwaukee's, yeah, no, that's real. Milwaukee's a lot more rough than people realize.
Like, who
Like,
thinks so? It sounds
yeah,
like a tame place in my mind of mine. It's like Milwaukee, cool.
yeah.
No.
Once you leave that pier, it's all hood. That's completely real. But yeah, I'm actually going to break down just to add to the story of every place you mentioned. So, like Boise, Idaho, I didn't play there. I slept there because I had a show in Salt Lake City. So we split the drive between Portland, Oregon at Boise. And our Airbnb host spoke to us like via intercom. And he sounded like a character from Family Guy.
Oh,
And
good.
every time he spoke, he was like, "Hello, brother. How's it going? I never had a
Why the
black
fuck
man
was
stay at
he
my
talking to
place."
you through the
I
house?
don't know. He was very, very weird. And then he goes and says, "I got some Barry White for you. Do you want me to get you some malt liquor?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And I think it's only because I said my plus one was my girlfriend at the time. And he clearly thought, like, this is what black people do, right? And it was very, very strange.
I
Even like, and then the next day, I got coffee
can
and a woman comes up to me and goes, "I've only seen you on the movies." I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "I've only seen hot black men on the movies and the pornos. It's crazy to see one in real life." Like that happened on tour. And I was like, "It's time for you to leave Boise." And then she's like, "Can I get a kiss?" I was like, "No, you
God, you're
can't."
like, oh, you're like a creature, like a foreign creature that I forget.
Yeah,
Okay, this is something I didn't equate to is that like I'm Middle Eastern, but like I don't, like
yeah,
being black in some of these fucking states must be, oh my, but like wait, first of all though, can I just wonder, like, dear Airbnb host, in what planet is it okay to like know what they're doing? Because that means you're like low-key watching people, and to like invade in people's privacy enough to have like a fucking odd, like, you're a creep and you deserve to be
yeah,
imprisoned for like rights
yeah,
violations, first of all.
yeah.
Like, psycho. Great
I,
story, but like, are you okay, Boise?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I have a friend that's there now, my yoga teacher, and I was just all like, "Good luck." It's pretty. Boise's very pretty, but the people are not okay in the head, right?
No, but like honestly, why would they be? What the fuck is like why would they be? Because what, like, it's like land that time forgot. Like you have corn and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's the corn land. Am I right? There's a lot of corn and
It's one of the many corn lands.
is that the one that smells? No, Iowa's the one that smells like shit, right? Iowa just smells like shit the whole time.
Iowa is a very corn
Okay.
state. However, Iowa's extremely queer,
Okay.
specifically Iowa City, and a lot of people don't know this.
I didn't know.
Iowa has the most amount of trans recovery and support services than anywhere in the United States.
That is
Other,
fascinating because you would
other
never
than,
expect.
yeah, yeah. Wait, let me change that. In the
Yeah.
Midwest, not anywhere in
Okay,
this,
I was
because
gonna
like,
say like
yeah, yeah,
what?
because
Like,
New York City exists, but
like
like, yeah,
California exists, which I don't know if we have a lot
yeah,
in California, but I'm assuming because we're pretty fucking big and pretty fucking liberal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that happened. I'm gonna take a quick pause. Do you want to turn on your lights or you're good?
It is what it is.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so I live in like a really bright apartment and the shades are drawn, but there's literally nothing to be done about the fact that the lighting is just like waking up, and I'm just gonna be, I'm kind of just vibing out on like the moody lighting and just assuming that it's part of the vibe.
Okay, cool. For sure. Okay, Kansas that you mentioned. I've played in Topeka, and I will hands down say best barbecue I've ever had in my life.
I I I didn't have barbecue, but like doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I've also played in Kansas City. That was a good time.
It is kind of
And
fun there.
yeah, yeah, like Kansas is kind of a place where like you talk to the people, they're nice, but they're completely aware that it's Kansas. Like, hey,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I
yeah.
live in the middle of nowhere. So yeah,
Dances though, yeah. No, but like I
yeah,
mean that's the just because I'm talking shit about the fact that the Midwest is like literally in the middle of nowhere does not mean that there are not some good times to be had and found in,
yeah,
you know, like some of those
yeah.
cities are surprisingly fun. You know what I mean? Like shockingly entertaining. My lighting is doing such weird stuff.
It is. It is.
Like I don't know because the storm just passed. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, is everything fine? So just had to make sure.
No, it's not fine. Okay. Like, yeah, okay. We can talk. Okay, keep going.
But yeah, like I would say, like as a touring artist, because I started touring at 2015, so 9 years, and subtract COVID, so 8 years. And like prior to that, because A Day Without Love started in 2013, I had done like one-offs, like oh, I'm going to New Jersey or I'm hopping in a van, but like properly having merch, playing in multiple cities, touring via either bus, train, plane, or car. That started in 2015, and like there's so many stories, ups and downs, like awkward situations I just shared with you. I feel like it's part of my life. And like I'm also a consultant and sometimes clients will have me fly. So yeah, I sometimes feel like I just live out of a suitcase and that's all there is to it.
I mean, I get that. I feel like I've spent really most of my life living out of a suitcase, and that's why I'm kind of
Yeah,
going down in upstate New York at the moment, just trying to like hermit out and hide in my little hidey hole because I'm kind of tired. And but there it is. It's kind of fun. I don't know. But I mean, honestly, it gets. I don't know. Some people are like, yeah, I love staying in one place. I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of adventure to be had, and I think life is
true.
having adventure. And I don't know. It's a different life, and yeah, I just feel like it gives you an opportunity to see things that nobody else sees, and like because really, like, people like normal, like, not that there is normal people, but think about it. Like, people like have a destination location, like vacation spot when, if for whatever company they work for actually lets them take those, which like most people like have no soul and have no life and like they're doomed for eternity to work in a corporate office and get little to no vacations and not see the world. But I digress. That's not my problem. But there's like a destination. So like, if you're not doing touring and doing all this stuff, like I've gotten to see a lot because I've always lived an alternative lifestyle. I've gone on the road with people, but it's a part of the world that like nobody really gets to see. You get to see so much, and I don't know. I think it's interesting. Way more.
No, you're completely right, especially on that, because I kind of feel that I've invented my own form of tourism via food and certain sites.
Food is
Like
fucking everything. Just send me to the food.
like take the city of Memphis for example, right? A lot of people go to Memphis for one street and whiskey and one museum. So they go to Beale Street, they go to the brewery slash distillery near there,
That's
and
true.
they go to the BB King Museum, and that's it. And I'm just like,
I'm guilty of having been to all of those places once or
right?
twice in my life.
But it's like, yo, have you ever been to the new square where they have like a world of food? It's literally like the UN of food. Have you ever drove through where all the gangs hang out? It's actually kind of cool. Have you ever been to hood barbecue versus like established barbecue? Like I try to do that with the cities I occupy, not for the sake of like pulling a Robert Frost, but more for the sake of like, hey, I'm a touring artist. These local musicians are telling me something about where they're from. Let me learn their story. And that's kind of how I end up seeing a lot of cool stuff. Like Memphis again has a giant pyramid that's actually one of the Bass Pro Shops or Bass Pro Shops headquarters. And
Oh
at
yeah, my
night,
friend was telling me about that. That's
yeah,
so
it's
cool.
really fucking cool. So it's like there's so much to see, and like I'm from Philly, and I moved to Massachusetts a year and a half ago, and I'm a big fan of being a tourist wherever you go. So I even try to be a tourist in my own neighborhood, and I'm
Oh,
trying to see like
100%.
50 beaches in 1 year. Like that's like something I'm trying to do now. So
I mean, I think that's the best way to live, and I like to live my life the same way. And like, we can all like Google like the. I like to meet like you said. I like to hang out with the locals. I want to go to like the local spot, talk to people, and see what they're about, and like see as many sites as possible. And I don't know. I don't always want to go to the pier and to the tourist trap. I mean, sometimes there's some really goddamn good food in those places. But
yeah.
I do want to go off the beaten path, and I do want to know what like locals like, and I want more authentic. I just want authentic travel. I want like more authenticity in my travel, not just like to go to the same place and the same Instagram picture that everybody else and their fucking mother has. Like I want to see something different, and I want to
And
see
you
through the eyes of people who actually live there.
I like that you said that about, through the lens of everybody and their fucking mother, because I fear that that's happening to touring musicians too, where there's certain experiences that exist in music scenes that everyone feels like they need to do. And I always say that, like, it's so easy to get the woes and me's or what about my time or look at that Instagram account. But I think it's so much more important to tour, be a musician through your own lens as opposed to do what everyone else is doing. Like, for example, there's like this lath cut the vinyl experience, which I think is cool, but I'd rather just sell my own records since I'm in a record label. So I don't have to do what everyone else is doing, or like a lot of people think like selling out a show is like the only definition of success. And like that's so not true. Like, believe it or not, I've never sold out a show in my life. But I've toured 43 states, about to tour Canada, and about to tour
And
the
I mean,
United
you're
States.
about
I
to go
mean,
to fucking
UK.
Europe, so I feel like you're thriving
Yeah,
because I know musicians who have sold out many shows and have been doing this for years who don't take themselves overseas, and they're just
that's what I'm saying.
they just like they're chasing bigger venues here, and they want to go to like MSG or something like versus like yeah, but we all have different definitions of success, and success is absolutely
Exactly.
what you feel like it. And you're in the position, well, let's just like remind everybody this man manages himself, by the way. So if y'all got a fucking manager, can you send him an email? Because
Well, thank you.
what the fuck? Okay,
A
continue.
day without love at Gmail. Um,
Yes, there you
yeah,
go.
but like, yeah, like, and I'm not saying that to shit on people that like also
No.
have that dream. I'm saying is like, just make sure that your dream is like true to you, of what you actually can do, and
Right.
also feels good, because it's so easy to promote yourself, whether it be via the internet or through other people, and like wear a mask,
Right, exactly. And that's
and
and it goes with any field,
no,
and but music is supposed to be like the most authentic, so it's kind of unfortunate when that happens, but
and
sorry.
it's not always, because like I've definitely met some people at festivals, or like people that I knew that like were pretty well like known via the internet. Then I meet them in person, and they're like very, very miserable people.
Right.
And it's not my monkey, not my barrels, but at the same time, it's sad to see that, because it's like you get all these touring opportunities that hundreds of people, thousands of people like strive for, and you're not even happy where you are. And I think a big important thing about touring is, there's going to be ups and downs. Like, I'll be very honest. There's times when I'm in that hotel room, or, I'm in a bed, and like I feel alone, or there's times where I'm driving and I'm like, all right, 3 more hours, no one to talk to because it's 2 in the morning and it's Tuesday. What am I to do? Because it's not like I could read a book and drive. Because
Audiobooks, podcasts. No, but I,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah,
It is, I feel like when you live an alternative life, it is inherently lonely sometimes. I mean, I know
yeah,
that. I feel like I've lived such a different life, and I'm not a touring musician per se, but
yeah.
I've just, I've been on tour with musicians. I've lived in other, I drive around the world, like, and it gets inherently lonely, but it is beautiful. And, I forget where I was going with that, but it's beautiful because it's kind of like, but this life is kind of like a choose your own adventure, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's all about what you make of it. And like you said, all about how you define success and how you define happiness, and like just to make sure you're doing it from a place of authenticity. But we're not fucking machines. Nobody is meant to be joyous all the time. Like no fucking human being is like, wow, this is magical all the time, and I never get lonely, and I never question. And it's like if you stop questioning and you don't have those feelings, then you're like no longer human, without the
Yeah.
sadness and like those moments, like you're not human anymore. So like not that the and without the pleasantries aren't so beautiful. So
Mm, big facts.
big fact. Although I want it to be pleasant all the fucking time, but who doesn't? That's I'm not unique in that. I'm a unique,
True,
maybe
true, true.
unicorn, but not in that. Not in that
True.
aspect. We all would like it to be sunny, which the sun is crazy right now.
I believe it. I completely believe it. It's been burning everyone across the country.
I know, but like in my room, okay, so we just had like a tornado, and then we had like, and now the sun is like doing this thing where it's like it's playing peekaboo, so a little weird.
Mm.
So because people are watching this video, that's what's happening. But anyways, keep going.
I think another big thing, because I think we've covered the emotional health, the wellness aspect, is to take care of yourself on tour. Because like, I think a musician's first 2 to 10 tours, it's so easy to be like, I'm in Chicago, I'm gonna get deep dish. I'm in Detroit, I'm gonna get, the pizza. And then like next thing you know, you're like, wow, I have high cholesterol.
Yeah, my body is literally okay. I'm so glad you brought this up because
Yeah,
for the people in the back who aren't taking care of themselves on tour, because that's something I had to learn for myself too. Like we just stopped eating out like in fucking general for a while, like after,
yeah,
every like once in a while, but it's like I just started to like make my own wraps and do this and stop for yoga and like, at first it's the thrill and it's the go and it's the rush and it's like the go go fucking go, but that's your life. You have to take care of yourself. So how do you I saw you doing like sit-ups and shit in the airport. Like how do you take care of yourself on
yeah.
tour?
So like for me, like, and keep in mind, I wasn't always good at this because I was the person that said like,
Everything's learning, okay? Nobody's good
yeah,
at anything at first. Give
yeah,
yourself
like
some goddamn grace.
yeah, like I was the guy that like every city I was like, what's the local thing, right? But essentially, this is my kit. One, I have a Planet Fitness membership, so regardless of the stigma, like get one of those because they're everywhere, right?
No, it's the best
Uh,
fucking gym because the black card lets you go to every fucking gym.
exactly. That's the first thing. Secondly, I try to make sure that I sleep as much as possible, so that way I'm a good driver. And then if you're not, take advantage of rest stops
Mhm.
because believe it or not, they do literally let you sleep in there.
Yeah,
Bring an
truck stops are life. Rest stops are
yeah,
like the pilots and the flying
yeah,
bullies of the world.
yeah, yeah. Bring a neck pillow, especially if you're the driver, because you're gonna need that. I make sure and try to do yoga every other day on the road, just for like your back. So like I might even do some of these, like stretch your arms
Well,
and
100% because like being in the sitting position and driving that much is crushing your like so bad for your spine if you don't.
yeah. Try to get a 20 to 30 ounce water bottle. The reason why I don't say a gallon is just because it takes up space with everything else.
Mhm.
Um, if you're not doing it, yeah, that's a good one. Yep, exactly. If you're not doing it already, take the moment to either journal or like take some gratitude. Something I like to do either via DM or a formal email is thank the people that are organizing your shows. Because while that's not about physical wellness, it's again about spiritual, emotional wellness. Because it's so easy to tour and tour and tour and tour and just be like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And then forget where you've been.
Came
It's
from
so
like
easy to forget.
that. And that also just
Yeah.
like kind of perpetuates the attitude of gratitude that you just kind of want to
Yeah.
have anyway.
Yeah. And then to circle back to the airport thing,
Hmm.
the story of the lore there is someone had like the organizers for the last festival I played got me a hotel, right? Which is all great. And the hotel I was at, someone stole the weights, right? And I'm currently on a routine where I'm working out twice a day, and sometimes that involves working out outside, or like walking more than 10,000 steps outside, or and then the other one is lifting and yoga, right? So that Sunday was a bit commute day because I had a flight that was at 10:45, and I ended up in the airport at 4 in the afternoon. So I was at the airport and I was like, I could be the guy that takes like a taxi to a Planet Fitness, or I could save money and figure out a way to work out in the airport. So I weighed both my bags at the baggage claim. I was like, So I turned my luggage into weights. So I turned my book bag to a kettlebell, and I turned my actual luggage full of merch to like into like a barbell. So like I like did things like kettlebell swings, hip thrusts, squats,
Love
the
the
whole
kettlebell
nine.
swing.
Yeah, yeah, I did all of that with both equipment, and I found a place in the airport where like, hey, the nearest person is like 30 feet away from me, so I'm not going to hurt anyone. And I did that for 45 minutes, got a good sweat in. And don't get me wrong, I did get some looks like, I had, and it was mostly moms. It was all moms.
Well,
But,
they're just hating because they shoved another like muffin in their mouth and they didn't exercise this morning. They're just like,
yeah,
fuck, I wish I had that motivation.
yeah. But that's kind of like where it came from. And I'll be honest, I felt good about it because the next day, I had my 9 to 5, and while I was tired, I still felt energized and pumped. And I just think it's a really good thing to do for yourself to exercise while on tour. Because while, like, loading and unloading and playing the instrument is an exercise itself, doing that's just good for
Good for your
your
mental
creativity
health,
or your
well-being.
mental
Oh,
health.
it does. Like
Yeah,
I feel like exercise is like the greatest thing to get clarity and just like get your mind flowing again, more than just like your body, but your mind. So
yeah,
like you have this 9 to 5 job. I must like, how is that to like balance this? Because I've never been able to balance, I've never been able to like work for anybody else. I don't know if it's my temper or
true,
like my temperament that's like, I need to be in charge and the queen of the
true.
universe. Or
So, I keep a day job for two main reasons. One, so I could keep the money I make from music to budget for music.
which is
And
very smart.
yeah, yeah. So that's for one reason. But the other reason is because I have a long-term goal that when I'm in my 50s or 60s to run a creative consultancy where I consult people based on my experience in the music industry,
Mm.
and I'm already doing that now. Like I work with a lot of individuals, like in coaching them about like how to reach their goals, how to organize for an album, how to plan a tour, how to market yourself, how to like stay focused. Like I do that now, but if I figured like if I keep that 9 to 5 while touring for like a couple of decades, not only will I have the fiscal sustainability, but I'll also have the experience to help more people while
You
still
are
being
a
creative.
fucking Libra. You're so goddamn disciplined.
Hey, I do my best.
But like, okay, so if you're on tour for like a month though, how does your job not tell you to go fuck yourself?
So, I mean, this has kind of been a fortunate, just unfortunate is like I've had the fortunate ability of either having contracts or working with jobs that give unlimited vacation.
Mhm.
Or and it's unfortunate because I'm always having to look for something. But it's also a nature of the market when you are literally a consultant. There's more contracts than there are permanent jobs, and the people with permanent jobs are like literally 20 plus years of experience. So but the other side is most of my jobs have been remote, so I'm able to literally tour and work.
Well, that's a good job.
Yeah,
I'm like, I would
yeah.
take I would
So
I would take a remote job on a contract with unlimited vacation any day if the world put
yeah.
so.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how I've done it. Like I had this one colleague, not a musician, who her and her husband moved to a different city every month.
That's fun.
And yeah, I think it was every 24th they took off from the 24th to the 30th to do the moving, and then would just work nonstop and then enjoy the places they were at. So yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I'm very
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
That's a different life over there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else?
Did you just have a brain fart?
I had a literal malfunction, you know, we can't all be perfect all the time. Not that I
It's
ever have.
completely fine.
Not that I've ever been perfect ever, and nor do we expect anybody else to be for everybody. Don't be perfect, just be yourself.
No, that's all you can do. Yeah.
So like what are you working on any new albums now? You obviously just brought your podcast back. So
Yeah.
what is your next project? What are you working on? What can we expect to see from you in the future?
Surely. So there's a couple things I'm working on. One, I'm working on a new album. Since like roughly November of 2023, I've written over 100 songs. I've got like 85 pages of just music, right? In a Google Doc.
Beautiful.
And I'm still gonna keep writing, and I have my Patreon where I'm sharing some of those songs. But like on top of all that writing, I'm trying to arrange a 10-song album that's about like the concept of permanence and how some people take things for granted and other people are struggling to find something that is sustainable. So like that's what I'm trying to like write a record about. I'm doing a tour across the Midwest with a Canada date in a few weeks. I'm also going to the UK for the first time as a person and as a musician. So it's looking like it's going to be Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, Ireland, and maybe Wales. So we'll see that.
Nice.
So the whole UK. And
Here for it.
then, what did you say?
I said I'm here for it.
Yeah, thank you. And then I'm going to do a fundraiser tour across New England and upstate New York before that. And then I think I might relax or
Yeah,
plan a
take a
full
fucking
US tour.
break, Brian.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like what's on the game plan, you know? So
I mean, we have to give ourselves some time to recover and relax sometimes. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything you want to like leave our parting beautiful people with? Well, first of all, I'll tell them like where they can find you. And again, I'll put all the links always.
For
I'll
sure,
link
for sure,
everything.
for sure. You can find me on all streaming platforms from Bandcamp, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Music, YouTube, the whole nine, under A Day Without Love. You can find me on socials under at A Day Without Love on Twitter and Instagram, A Day Without Love band on TikTok. Facebook is A Day Without Love music, but really, if you just type in A Day Without Love, you'll find me. My website is adaywithoutlove.com. I've got merch on there. I'm going to be putting on some records on there soon, and I've also got dog and cat shirts
I
available.
love cats.
Yeah. I'll definitely show you that that shirt. Um, and then, I would say for like a thing to leave with is truly stick to your word about the person you want to be. And be patient with yourself because like this whole going to the UK, I'm glad that I waited, 11 years to get here because I know there's a part of myself that said like I'm going to give up this alternative life to be normal, but I really think for the normies as well as the alt people, life chooses you more than you choose life. And what I mean by that is all those normies who get to be Disney children, watch Harry Potter on Friday, and hang out with the same three friends every weekend, that life chose them because they didn't know how to, hang out on a day's in while someone is like puking on the next door and the best thing they eat is planters cashews. They don't know what it's like to be in Chicago and have a thick slice of pizza while, the gangs of Chicago are around the corner, or they don't know what it's like to eat 2 million Scoville unit fried chicken in Nashville, and so forth and so forth. But we do. So it's like, listen to the meanings behind meanings and just embrace it and move towards it because you never know where you'll end up.
I love that. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming. And to all my Layla Show fanatics, I don't know that you are fanatics, but you should be because I'm obsessed with you too. Thank you for listening. Um,
Anytime.
subscribe, like, follow Brian, follow me, do the damn thing, DM me or send me an email if you want to be our next guest. And thank you for listening to the Layla Show. I fucking love you, Bizu motherfucking ciao.